So in the problem number 17 of the text of chapter 5.1 in the pre-calculus course, we look at the issue with the idea of circle and distance. So a small radio transmitter broadcasts in a 53-mile radius. If you drive along a straight line from a city 70 miles north of the transmitter to a second city 74 miles east of the transmitter, during how much of the drive will you pick up a signal from the transmitter? So the first part of this problem is we are going to draw the picture, right? So we draw a circle around a XY coordinate system, and we see how the description of the problem is transformed. So there it is, the circle's in blue with a radius, and then the line going from the upper city, in the northern city, to the eastern city can be seen, and you can see that the line, this is not drawn to scale, but it probably goes through some portion of the circle where the signal can be picked up. So this portion D is what we're trying to find. But in the process, we have to set up several equations. So the next step after we draw the picture is set up the equations. We have a circle and we have a line. So the circle equation is r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. And in this particular case, the r is 53, so it's going to be squared. And the x squared plus y squared is based on the fact that it starts, the center is at the origin of the xy axis. To set up the line equation, we remember it's y is equal to mx plus b, where m is the slope of the line and b is the y-intercept. Well, in this particular case, m, which is the change in y over the change in x, can be seen that 70 minus 0 divided by 0 minus 74 gives us this number here. And then the y-intercept is at 0, 70, so it's b is 70. So now here becomes our equation for the line. The next step is to substitute the line into the y value of the first equation, and we've done that here. And so ultimately, after we do the squaring here, actually there's a square there, we see that we get a quadratic equation of this form. Okay, so that's the first step. Now that we have the quadratic equation, we're going to use the quadratic equation to solve for x. And if you recall, the quadratic equation formula is the following: a minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So in this case, the b of the quadratic equation is a negative 132.426. We're going to use a positive because a negative times a positive, negative times a negative is a positive. And you'll see that it's b squared, 132.426 squared, minus 4 times a, and the a portion is 1.8947 times C, which is 2091. And then we divide by 2a. So we get x to be 132.426 plus or minus 41 minus 41.102. And we will get two x's when we put them in, right? We'll get the bottom x and the top x, right? x2 and x1. When we put the x's into the formula, we'll get an x1 and an x2. And from the x1 and x2, once we get the x1 and x2, we're going to plug them into here to get the y1 and the y2. Well, the final step is once you have the x1 and the y1 and the x2 and the y2, you're going to put it in the distance formula to find d. And when we find d, we find it to be 129.86 miles, and in the back of the book it shows 29.87 miles. So if you're doing this on Moodle, there may be some rounding error, so you won't get it right necessarily, but you're going to be close, probably of 1/100th of a mile, and maybe Moodle doesn't pick that up. So that's the end of this particular problem that everybody's been asking about.